Good morning, TFR.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zack. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zack, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the planet. To this show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the Ironworx with Zack, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
It is Tuesday, my dudes.
And a happy Tuesday to you all. I was going to play something else, but I couldn't make up my mind fast enough. So I just said, F it, I'll just jump right in. So we are sans Walter this morning, but we do have a Zachary. You might recognize Zachary Zabala from his little channel, Good Times for All, here on YouTube. Zach, good morning, sir.
Hey there, Josh. How we doing?
Oh, it's Tuesday, my dudes. No, I'm all right. It's just a nice, been a quiet weekend, quiet week. It's not a whole lot going on. Dixie had a birthday yesterday.
Well,
So
nothing. What did you do for Miss Dixie?
Nothing, because I forgot. I got to work and I'm putting in the date on one of my little test sheets and realized.
Shit.
Yeah, basically. So I came home and apologized profusely, to which she said, it's not a big deal. If you remember, in October, I forgot yours too. So it works out well.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
You'll do something extra special next year, though, I bet.
I might even do it before then.
There you go.
I bet you she'd really appreciate some flowers sent to her new job.
Oh, yeah. I remember one time, and she didn't. My mom. I was in high school, and my aunt had an accident my freshman year in high school. She had brainstem injury, like a serious accident. And that year, she was in a coma for 3 weeks, I think. But she woke up on my birthday. Like, I went to school knowing that my aunt opened her eyes. It was awesome. It was a great start to a birthday. And my mom had told me happy birthday. Well, she didn't remember telling me happy birthday. So I get called down to the principal's office, first hour. I'm like, what's going on? My mom's standing out there in the hall in front of the principal's office, just bawling her eyes out. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I forgot your birthday. I was like, Mom, you didn't forget. You told me. She just, her sister, they were so close. And I understood. Even if she would have forgotten, I would have understood, there was a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, it was weird. My mom had thought she had forgot my birthday. And she just took it really hard. Really, really hard. that ever happen to you? Did your parents ever forget or think they forgot your birthday?
I don't think so. My mom was kind of over the top with things like that, whether it's holidays or birthdays. She tended to get a little excessive at times. But I don't think. Sometimes I think my dad would forget how old I was because he wasn't in my life full time. I felt like he didn't really have a full grasp on my age.
I forget how old I am sometimes, though.
Yeah, and older now, I'm pretty well the same way. But when you're like 13 and your dad is sending you like, it didn't say you're like 8, but it was like this real childish birthday card with a little button on it. It's like, it's your birthday and some silly shit. I don't know. Just out of touch and didn't really understand, I don't think, too well exactly what it was that I thought I wanted.
He was a mountain man.
Pretty much, yeah. He's lived out in the woods and just wasn't super in touch with the things that a 12-year-old boy might like.
Yeah, I'm not good with birthdays and stuff like that. I'm horrible.
So am I. I am so horrible. It's one of those things I really kind of do feel guilty about. But because I don't necessarily celebrate them myself, that it makes it hard for me to give a shit.
Yeah. I don't care about my birthday. I mean, little children, when my niece and nephew were younger, I used to make an effort. But they're both in high school and stuff now. It's,
Is exactly right. And again, what did I do? Why am I celebrating my birthday? Is it some huge accomplishment? Did I do something specific that no one else was able to do to get to this point? Not really. Just existed.
Laid there and existed. Yeah. Right. Yeah, same. I forget when I started. I think I was in my early 20s when I quit caring. Of course, 21 was a big one, Went to all the bars and told all the bartenders that had been serving me for 3 years it was my 21st birthday. That was fun. But yeah, after that, it was just like, yeah, birthdays are, yeah. Oh, Walter. He was up playing the video games last night, I bet.
Yeah.
We played a little bit last night, but he jumped off. I think when I did, I don't know. He might have stayed up a little bit later. What? Anything exciting happen over the weekend?
Not for me. Not that that's surprising.
Like, out in the world, anything that caught your attention?
Nothing particular caught my attention. At least not in so much that it would stick and make me remember. Say, hey, oh yeah, this big thing happened. Of course, there's probably been about 14 big things that happened, and I'm just unable to recall them.
Yeah, I know Elon's been in the news. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with like the news at all. Usually I loved watching Sky News Australia. I love watching them make fun of our politicians. It's hilarious. But I don't know. That stuff hasn't been showing up in my I'll do that when I go and hit the explore button sometimes and go look through politics just to see what's going on. I don't care like I used to, though. Like back in 2008, I was on my politics shtick. Man, I knew everything that was going on in American politics back then. Like everything. That was my talk radio just all day long. Maybe throw a little bit of sports talk in there. Yeah, it's wild how I don't even know the world has changed, but how much I've changed.
Yep.
Like more than the world has changed. It's weird. So I found a crazy one, dude.
Uh-oh.
So this one is for all those people that think that, this is the worst country in the world. We don't have any freedoms. Blah, 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 blah. I love hearing that. So in Indonesia, we pass a law, a new criminal code banning sex outside of marriage. A criminal code?
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many states have laws against that.
Really?
I was just talking to somebody, I think it was earlier this week, because they were talking about the legalization of recreational cannabis here in Missouri, starting day after tomorrow, actually, on Thursday, is when it officially kicks off. And they were extolling the virtues of finally having legalized marijuana. And I happened to mention the fact that blowjobs were illegal here in Missouri, technically speaking.
They were in Indiana too, actually.
Mm-hmm. Any non-reproductive sex is strictly forbidden here in Missouri.
I mean, is it a criminal act though?
Depends on how you define crime. If speeding can be defined as a crime, if the state gets to say, hey, I'm the victim here, then yeah, sure. If the state makes money off of each person and the type of sex you're having isn't going to create another person for the state to create money from, then you're losing revenue for the state. I mean, that's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, if anything it can be illegal, yes. But there's a far cry. This was the point of me even bringing it up during this conversation, was there's a big difference between illegal and unlawful.
Yeah.
Something can be illegal, but completely lawful.
But it's not on the books yet. Not even going to be on the books for the next 3 years. And they're already expecting all kinds of court challenges.
Why? I mean, I guess you...
Well,
I'm good with it. That's one of those things I'm pretty good with. I don't see an issue with that.
They didn't say it all in the headline. See, down in the first paragraph now, it says, Indonesia's parliament has approved a new criminal code that bans anyone in the country having sex outside marriage and restricts political freedoms. So that's a little bit different. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to look in this article a little bit deeper here and see what's going on. So the new laws won't come into effect for another 3 years, and it's expected there will be court challenges. The raft of changes coming after a rise in religious conservatism in the Muslim majority country. Several groups of mainly young people protested against the laws outside Parliament in Jakarta this week. Sorry if I totally mutilated that name, Jakarta.
No, I think that's right.
Under the new laws, which will also apply to foreigners visiting Bali and other Indonesian holiday destinations, unmarried couples can be jailed for up to a year for having sex. They are also banned from living together, an act for which people could be jailed for up to 6 months. Adultery would also be an offense for which people can be jailed.
You reckon when they jail them, they have to put them in isolation? If you put them in general population, aren't all these non-married people living together?
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't get it. I'm going to put you in jail for living with someone to whom you're not married, and I'm going to surround you by a whole bunch of people that you're not married to, and you're going to live together for a long time as punishment for living together with someone that you're not married to. That's smart. Real smart.
King, a 28-year-old Muslim woman living in the West Java city of Deepak, not sure, said she was now at risk of living with her partner for the last 5 years. With the new law, both of us can go to jail if one of the family decides to make a police report. What if there's one family member who has a problem with me and decides to send me to jail? I think living together or having sex outside of marriage is not a crime. In my religion, it's considered a sin, but I don't think the criminal code should be based on a certain religion. She said she had joined the nationwide protest in 2019 when the law had first been broached. She took the sign for the right to cuddle I took to the streets. However, on Tuesday, Parliament unanimously approved the new code of over 600 articles. Rights groups say the new provisions disproportionately affect women, LGBT people, and ethnic minorities among the population of 267 million. Wow, I didn't know there was that many people living in Indonesia. Indonesia's, I mean, I know it's a group of islands, right? But that's a lot of people. I thought Indonesia was pretty small.
It is pretty small.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but that's 267 million?
And it wasn't that long that the Khmer Rouge was out there trying to exterminate by the thousands. That was just like late 70s, I think.
So they're saying that it contains scores of new clauses criminalizing immortality and blasphemy.
Maybe immorality?
Immorality, yeah, not immortality. That was my Pearl Jam days coming back to me.
I sentenced you to a life sentence in prison for immortality. You've been found guilty of immortality.
That whole album was weird. The name was Vitology. Yeah, that was a weird one. That's when they started getting different. So, immorality and blasphemy and restricting political and religious expression. Critics say the changes are a disaster for human rights.
Read that one again.
Okay, it contains scores of new clauses criminalizing immorality and blasphemy and restricting political and religious expression. Critics say the changes are
that still doesn't make any sense. It outlaws blasphemy and it outlaws restricting religious freedoms? Or is that just a shitty written sentence?
It is a shitty written sentence.
That makes sense. 3
ands in this sentence with no punctuations separating any of it. So yeah, that was a poorly written sentence, but yeah. Human Rights Watch's Asia director Elaine Pearson told the BBC it was a huge setback for a country that has tried to portray itself as a modern Muslim democracy. So I wonder, are they a democracy there? Or do they have a republic? I was looking through the Constitution, and yeah, that guy was right. Nowhere in the Constitution do they ever say the word democracy. But you hear our politicians in the news say it, that everything's a threat to our democracy, like we actually have one. I wonder what kind of, well, they have a parliament. I'm not sure. The group's Jakarta-based researcher, Andreas Harsano, said there were millions of couples in Indonesia without marriage certificates, especially among indigenous peoples or Muslims in rural areas who had married in specific religious ceremonies. See, that's the thing, though. if you get married in a ceremony and don't get a little piece of paper by the state, are you still married? Not according to the state. Can you go there?
I think this is why it's important to differentiate between a civil union and a marriage. I think a marriage should be something that's done between a man and a woman, and I think a civil union is something that should be done a man, woman, and the state. And it does sort of clarify my earlier position. I was thinking sort of extramarital sex versus premarital sex. And I'm okay with prosecuting extramarital sex. If you want to violate that contract, you should be held accountable for breaking a contract. Premarital, on the other hand, that's a whole different story.
Now here's where it gets into the your right to believe whatever you want and stuff like that. There are now also 6 blasphemy laws in the code, including apostasy, renouncing a religion. For the first time since its independence, Indonesia will make it illegal to persuade someone to be a non-believer. So the guy standing out there on the street corner speaking, saying that there is no creator.
Yeah. But what if you take a look at these assholes and you'd be like, well, I don't want to be like these assholes. So your whole religious example makes me not want to be religious. Your entire example on how to live your life based on religion has turned me into an atheist. Now what?
Now what do I do? And this is where it gets real scary. New defamation, not that it's not already. I mean, there's going to be all kinds of, this is going to change. This reminds me of the NDAA Act when it passed in 2011. There's been so many changes to that, yeah, we would all be microchipped by 2017, according to that bill. So, yeah, it changed. It obviously changed. But new defamation articles also make it illegal for people to insult the president or criticize state ideology. Whoa. But the legislators said they had added defenses for free speech and protest made in the public interest. But you're not allowed to insult the president or even criticize state ideology.
Yeah, will strengthen your freedom for free speech as it relates to public interest. And we will be the sole arbiter of what public interest is. So no matter what you say, we'll get to decide whether that is in public interest.
This is an analysis right underneath it by Jonathan Head, Southeast Asia correspondent from the BBC. He writes, Indonesia is not a secular state. Atheism is unacceptable. Technically, you need to follow one of 6 prescribed religions. So it is a multi-religious state with an official ideology. Pancasila, which prioritizes no faith over any other. That was Indonesia's post-independence leader, Sukarno's idea, to discourage large parts of the archipelago where Muslims are not a majority from breaking away. Huh. Man, this place is so interesting. I had no idea. You get so used to living in one country and by their laws and rules and all this stuff that you never really, you hear about this stuff, but it kind of goes in one ear and out the other. But I had no idea that being an atheist was, illegal in places. Like, you don't have the right to believe whatever you choose, at least not openly. Now, again, I don't know how, like Josh and I were talking earlier, blowjobs are illegal in Indiana, Missouri, probably, a dozen other states. Doesn't mean that there isn't one given every day in those states. Okay, Josh, I'm sorry.
But it is. There's all sorts of these old laws. You can look them up online. It's almost a meme. It's a joke. Like Missouri, you can't sell dyed margarine. Margarine should look like Crisco, but they dye it yellow to make it look a little more like butter, a little more appetizing. Well, it's like this nasty gray blob of nastiness. But and that's the way you're supposed to sell it in Missouri. You're not allowed to sell it dyed. But I'll be damned if everybody doesn't dye it yellow. And that's okay.
We're hitting our first break here.
We should be about 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I might have to text old Walter, see if he's awake yet.
Yeah, what's the old man doing?
Sleeping in.
Hey, I got no room to talk.
Nor I.
I'm the one who sleeps in more than anybody, so.
Well, I think that's going to bring us then to the end of the first half of the first half. That's just the first quarter for those of you that don't maths like me. Stick around. We do have more. We'll find out if young Mr. Walter Johnson will be joining us at some point. We do have more space lettuce to go over. And who the hell knows what else we'll come up with. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're never, ever, ever, ever going to feel like doing the things you need to do in order to have what you want. You're always going to need to push yourself. You're always going to need to parent yourself. So what is the net advice on this? What is the bottom line? The bottom line is no one's coming. No one. No one's coming to push you. No one's coming to tell you to turn the TV off. No one's coming to tell you to get out the door and exercise. Nobody's coming to tell you to apply for that job that you've always dreamt about. Nobody's coming to write the business plan for you. It's up to you. And because you're only ever going to do the things that you feel like doing right now, that feel good right now, unless you understand that you've got to parent yourself, you've got to push yourself, you're not going to make your dreams come true. You're just not.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Anne, before I started using this product, every afternoon, my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Hey everyone, it's Mark Sargent from Strange World, broadcasting live every Tuesday evening, 10 to 12 Eastern, 7 to 9 Pacific, right here on True Frequency Radio. Strange World covers a wide range of topics, from enclosed world theory to lunar waves to the end of the world in film. It's basically doomsday with a silver lining. With the audience as my co-host, we take an optimistic approach to all things conspiracy and promote confidence, hope, and humor whenever possible. If there's a topic you want us to cover or a guest you would like to see interviewed, please email me at msargent23@comcast.net. So please join me and tell your friends about True Frequency Radio, the leader in real radio programming, bringing you quality, cutting-edge broadcasts from around the world.
We are TFR.
My faith in destiny is a
Truth Frequency Radio.
This is Michael Tyson. You probably know me better as Iron Mike, but I don't go by Iron Mike no more because I used to be a monster. I'm a different person now. I'm all about happiness. But what is happiness? I'll tell you what happiness is. Every time I listen to my favorite show, Iron Realm Media. It's a truther show on YouTube.
And welcome back to the second half of the first half of the Ironworx. Right here, Truth Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. We are also on the Iron Realm Media YouTube channel. Shout out to Iron Mike Tyson.
Man, I watch, I don't know. I go back and watch him all the time, actually. At least once a week, I'm watching one of his old fights. I prefer Mike in the mid to late 80s. You know, before prison, before Don King really got a hold of him, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
He was the baddest boxer I've ever seen. Just nobody wanted. I mean, there was a guy who gave up his title, gave up his belt. I think it was Spinks. I forget who it was. It might have been. But didn't want to fight Mike Tyson. I mean, and he was 19 years old when he won the heavyweight championship, you know, undisputed heavyweight champion, youngest ever in history. Mike Tyson at that time, in my opinion, was unstoppable. There was nobody on earth at that time, or that I've seen since, in my opinion, that at least had the skills that man did at that time. He was so fast, so powerful. It was like watching a young Tiger Woods play golf, hitting that golf ball. It really was. He was just so that much better. And for being boxing is it's a science. Yeah, you can go out there and just throw punches and hit somebody in the head and knock them out and win. But there's a reason they call it the sweet science. There really is. And that man studied more film and tape by the age of 19 than most boxers probably did their whole lives. He had Gus D'Amato, that guy, his first trainer, or Cuss, C-U-S. But he had like one of the biggest boxing libraries around for old films and stuff. And he was watching fights that probably, you know, boxing historians have never seen. And yeah, just so knowledgeable of the sport at that age, and just a physical specimen that I've never been able to compare to anybody else, really. Not with it all put together in a small package like that. That guy was just, yeah, I love Iron Mike. He was a big inspiration in my life. We talked about that last show or the show before, but yeah, just it's amazing how these guys that I wouldn't call boxing a game. I think that's more of a sport. Isn't it a game, or a sport is something there's a chance you can die while doing it? I mean, of course, you can almost die while doing anything, but like from the sport, from the actual event, you can die from.
Thanks, Pfizer.
It's not like. Board games have just gotten more interesting. Oh, okay, I gotta stop. I'm gonna get us kicked off of YouTube. There's a good joke in there, folks. I'm just saying. Now this one's got me a little. You tell me what you think. Now you've been around firearms. You've been in the military, Josh.
Hmm?
How much time and effort do you think goes into designing a gun to function the way that you want a gun to function?
Depends on the firearms manufacturer. I've seen a few test fires and people, I just bought this gun and you might get 3 or 4 rounds. The damn thing locks up. It doesn't aim well. It doesn't shoot well. It doesn't hold well. It's not balanced well. There's lots of different firearms manufacturers that will manufacture to different specificities. Does that answer your question?
Fires. You don't pull the trigger, the gun doesn't fire. Right? That's like the basic one.
Yeah.
That's the one you want to always work.
There are some basic safety functions
that you just want your gun to have.
Yeah.
Well, dangerously defective pistol fires even if you don't touch the trigger, lawsuit says. Now, this is what the lawsuit says.
Is this a prop gun that was used in that movie Rust?
No, this is a Sig Sauer. These are, the military buys these Sig Sauers. They're a pretty well-known gun manufacturer that, always has made a very reliable product. They're well-known. But it seems that one of their guns, allegedly, again, the gun maker promised one of its pistols sold in the U.S. won't fire unless you want it to, which don't most gun manufacturers probably say that about their guns? But a new federal lawsuit argues that's a lie. The lives of experienced gun users who are suing Sig Sauer were upended by the company's dangerously defective pistol, a complaint filed November 30th in federal court in New Hampshire state. 20 plaintiffs named in the lawsuit became gunshot victims when their own Sig Sauer P320 pistol fired unexpectedly, without the trigger ever being touched, according to the complaint representing the plaintiffs nationwide. These men and women, now this is in quotations, these men and women were highly trained officers, veterans, and responsible and safety-conscious gun users who put their trust in Sig Sauer, unaware, blah, 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 that the gun they used to serve was a danger to themselves and anyone around them. That's Robert Zimmerman. That's Bob Dylan's name. McClatchy News contacted Sig Sauer, which says on its website that it prides itself on selling weapons to global militaries, law enforcement, and more. Their spokesperson told McClatchy News in a statement on December 5th that the pistol is designed to fire when the trigger is pulled, and added that it includes internal safeties that prevent the firearm from discharging without a trigger pull.
Like a firing mechanism?
Yeah. Like
a functioning firing mechanism?
Yeah. They put so much into research and development and, testing. It's hard to believe that this is... Now, again, this is allegations. The company denied allegations that the pistol is prone to discharge without the use of the trigger, according to Associated Press. There have been over 100 incidents of the Sig Sauer unintentionally discharging when the user believed they did not pull the trigger. When the user believed
I don't think I
Many,
did.
many of which have caused severe injury to the users and or bystanders. The lawsuit, which demands a trial by jury, argues the company was aware of prior incidents of the guns going off without the trigger being pulled and cites several examples. On one occasion, a Pennsylvania state trooper was killed when another trooper's Sig Sauer pistol fired without him touching the trigger during a safety training in 2015.
Allegedly.
The lawsuit called the pistol the most dangerous pistol for its users sold in the United States market. The only way to stop the Sig Sauer from continuing to sell this dangerous weapon is through the courts. Gun goes off in its holster. Many of the plaintiffs suing Sig Sauer were shot and injured by the pistol when it randomly went off in their holsters. See, I have a lot of trouble believing this. I don't know why. I mean, I've been around a lot of guns. I've never seen one. I mean, if your hand isn't on the gun, I've never seen one just go off. I've seen them dropped. I've seen all kinds of stuff. It's hard for me to believe that I don't know. Then they're going on into more other individuals, blah, 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 more trainings. Yeah, it's just going into a bunch of, we got shot this way, we got shot that way. Okay. So this is going to go on for a while. This is just starting. More lawsuits against Sig Sauer on behalf of the additional victims are expected to be filed according to the new release. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, folks. I just have trouble believing that a gun company would. I mean, I could see some of these smaller gun manufacturing, yeah, it's a lucrative business, but to get started, I mean, it's not an easy business to get into. So I could see some of you could tell the difference between a Smith & Wesson and a Joe Schmo, I just started my gun company. There is a difference. And I just don't see someone like Sig Sauer, so well known and established, making a bumble like this. But maybe,
Allegedly.
it's not like the car companies who make all kinds of mistakes and don't worry about it because, hey, people need cars. Well, yeah, people like their guns too, but guns have been under attack in this country for so long. You would think that they would really know, hey, we need to, unless, I don't know, there hasn't been enough mass shootings lately. Maybe they need some more gun stuff in the news. I don't know. I just don't see a company of that size selling a defective product and not pulling it off the market if they knew it was defective. I just don't see that. But hey, who knows? People are getting stupider and stupider, it seems.
The all-new 2024 Chevy Camaro goes forward when you press on the gas.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, what would you do if you got in your car just drove off every once in a while? You know, like a gun firing, just boom, your gun the gas goes down to the floor every once in a while. I mean, you wouldn't buy that car.
Nope.
You wouldn't sell that car.
There you go. Because now the car would no longer be an inanimate object. Now it's got animation. You can never know exactly when it is. It's going to animate itself and take off. And you could actually start blaming cars for car wrecks instead of drivers. Maybe this is just step one in trying to blame the guns for the gun violence instead of the shooter. I didn't do it. I didn't even pull the trigger. I was LARPing. How was I supposed to know it was going to start shooting people? I didn't pull the trigger. I don't believe I pulled the trigger.
Yeah, they don't believe they pulled the trigger. Now, if you don't think people shoot themselves often, you can go on YouTube and watch videos of it all day. People shooting themselves in the legs, practicing their quick draw, you know? And it's not like it happens when they're pulling it out. 90% of the times it happens when they're putting the gun back into the holster.
And let's just
when
say,
they're actually putting the gun back in, that's when they fire.
And what if there's no video of you getting shot, of you shooting yourself? And you feel real stupid about shooting yourself because, well, you're a police training officer and you were supposed to be training other police officers on how to safely handle firearms, and you ended up shooting yourself. So do you take the hit? Do you let your ego take that hit and be like, oh man, I messed up. I wasn't being safe with my firearm, and I was setting a poor example for the class when I should have been setting a good example, and I'm probably not necessarily qualified to continue doing this job? Or do you say the gun just went off all by itself? So you keep drawing that paycheck and you get to come into work the next day. I don't believe I pulled the trigger.
I don't believe. Ding.
Mm-hmm.
Word. I bet of all those people that shot themselves, I'm not talking about with the Sig Sauer, I'm talking about all the people in general. I bet over half of them would say that I didn't pull the trigger.
Right.
Or told somebody they didn't pull the trigger. Because nobody wants to be responsible for shooting themselves. It just sounds dumb. I was putting my gun away and I shot myself in the leg.
I mean, when you're being held responsible for your actions, most people won't admit to having ever pulled a trigger, no matter how much video evidence there is of somebody shooting somebody. Like, I didn't do it. Not guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, I've been watching a couple of those too, these interviews with psychopaths. The cops know already. They have all the information they need. They're just trying to coerce a admission of guilt out of the person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe looking for more stuff. But no, they all lie to. Even when they know they're caught, they still lie. Like a children with their hand in the cookie jar saying, I'm not trying to get a cookie.
What a world.
What a world. So who all's in chat?
Yeah, there's quite a few people in chat.
Vertec, Voynich, Gematria Wombat, On a Plane, Walking Axle, Liz the Iron Maiden, hello Liz, Ian, David M, Big Pine Sailing, arr. We got Daz in the chat. I'm doing this for Walter since he's not here. Alan Holman, line producer extraordinaire. Who else is out there? I see Nemo. Yeah, all kinds of people in chat. Brian A. Metz, thank you all for hanging out with us on this, well, at least here, cold, wet, early Tuesday. We've been getting a lot of rain this week.
Have you?
Yeah. It's nice. Like, we barely got rain over the summer. But now it's been, yeah, we need rain. Rain is good.
Big shout out to Not a Clue and Any Word over there on Rockfin. Any Word has a question, probably best answered by you here, Zach. Who wins, Mike Tyson or Chuck Liddell in their prime?
At a boxing, Mike Tyson. At cage fighting, I don't know. That's a hard one. I mean, when you throw, jiu-jitsu and things like that against a boxer, that's a totally different That's totally different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Chuck was a pretty bad man in his prime. He was more of a thumper like Mike, but he could grapple as well. And I've never seen Mike Tyson grapple.
Mm-mm.
You know, I don't know how Mike is on his back. You know, somebody's got him down on the ground and this and that. Now, if it was standing toe to toe and just throwing punches, I don't know. Chuck could hit, man. I think I saw him punch once with, I think, like over 3,000 pounds of pressure. It was one of those who would win in the fight, the samurai or the knight. You know, they had all those.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimate Warrior or something like that it was called. But they would do all these different things where they'd hit stuff with the weapons and then record what kind of damage that weapon did. You know, what kind of steel was used, what kind of everything. It wasn't just the person, it was what they were using in their gear. But they showed Chuck Liddell punching something, and it was like 3 or maybe even 4,000. I might be way undershooting it, but just something ridiculous. Showing, and the average man, he was like 3 or 4 times that of the average person punching, the power he could put into it. Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. Chuck Liddell he was a beast. And Mike, you know, could take a punch. I know that for sure too.
Who's that one guy that got into the cage fighting? Who was like the backyard brawler? There was a video that was going around that he knocked some guy's eye out of its socket.
Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo Slice? Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, he was a bad man. But yeah, he's one of those guys that did the street fighting and made that popular. He was doing it like before UFC started, I think even. He was out there just street fighting for money. Big guy.
Big guy. Yeah, I've seen him just stand there, hands down, saying, punch me.
Punches.
It just takes him. Just eats him. And then proceeds to beat the shit out of the other dude. Yeah, it's crazy. Crazy stuff. And
it's amazing how some guys, you know, they can take a punch and others, they just get tapped on the chin and it's lights out. Yeah, as similar as we all are, we are so different. So different. So we got a few minutes here. I won't get into this next article yet. But coming up, man, what's with I've been getting shown a lot of BBC stuff lately. Have you ever heard of the U.S.'s 2,000-year-old mystery mounds in Ohio? Looking like?
Not one I'm familiar with, but if it's not regional, I probably wouldn't be very knowledgeable.
Yeah, isn't that weird how all the weird history that doesn't like coincide with national history stays local? Like we find burial mounds with 8 to 10 foot people in it, and to where people were allowed to go visit these and actually look at the bones and stuff like that. And then now it's just, oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. It's wild, man. The change that has taken place.
Really
so
is.
Again, this is like destroying their narrative, constructed by a mysterious civilization that left no written records. The Hopewell ceremonial earthworks are a testament to indigenous sophistication. So this wasn't just
piles of dirt.
People like they're building a fort, you know, out of rocks and making a mound, or the ice igloos that we all made when we were young. They're talking about how sophisticated all this stuff is. Even though they left no written record, I bet they had to be able to write to build stuff like this. Yeah. Yeah, gosh, our history is such a story. I want to know what really happened. They're saying that there's people going out there trying to get into the Grand Canyon now, to the restricted zones, because they think with just pictures of not even like artifacts, but just pictures of what is supposedly down there would set the whole archaeological world on end. So yeah, I want to know what's out there. I mean, we know they're lying about it. In Nevada, the state of Nevada, I think is over 50% government-owned property. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check that, but I'm pretty sure the state of Nevada.
That's kind of gross. Property. It's real disgusting. But that is going to bring us right there to the halfway mark. Yep, I knew it was going to hit eventually. So we do have more space lettuce on the way. Apparently there's going to be a moment of global darkness. Or we've already had it, or we're experiencing it now, because I'm in the dark. I don't know. We'll see. Stick around. We'll figure out what the hell they're even talking about right after this.
Censorship and regulation is becoming an ever-growing problem in today's modern media. From the mainstream to YouTube and Google, the information you're looking for is buried by official narratives and propaganda. This is why TFR is 100% uncensored, unregulated, and listener-supported. The shows on TFR are not micromanaged by the station, and our hosts are free to speak their minds however they please. As such, the views and opinions expressed on our station are of those who make them. If you happen to hear anything offensive on TFR, please send us an email to toughtitty@tfrlive.com, and we'll be happy to tell you that we really don't give a damn. We stand for freedom of speech and non-censorship. If you also stand for free speech, you can go to tfrlive.com/signup and sign up for a TFR supporter pass and help us in our mission to keep the airwaves uncensored and unregulated. TFR Live, your uncensored and unregulated protection from deception.
The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! Routers. Come on, Kelly, we can get those routers. Those routers. Wow! If you got those routers, what that will show. And they don't want to give up the routers. They are fighting like hell. Why are these commissioners fighting not to give the routers? How simple could it be? That will tell the truth. And they don't want to give up the routers. What are they trying to hide? And I say it, and I'll say it, because the easiest way of cheating is to throw them away. That's easier. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! It's so unfair. It's so unfair. It's so ridiculous. I'll be honest, though. Look, we all like to win. If I lost this election, I could handle it pretty easily. What? Running 24, sir, you're gonna win. And I say, wait a minute, I just won 6 months ago. The big lie, they call it. Those things are unproven. And knowing what happened in the election is a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing, not a bad thing. It's a good thing. The county has refused to produce the network routers. We want the routers, Sonny. The county refused to produce the network routers. Wendy, we gotta get those routers, please. Get up! If you think about cancel, everything about cancel culture, they want cancel culture. But what they don't want to do is anything having to do with the 2020 election. We have no press. We have no voice. They almost got away with it. They may have gotten away with it. And I've got to tell you, I've got to say this. I've never said it before, but I've always thought it. I get along with Putin because that's a good thing, not a bad thing. The county has
You are now tuned into the truth frequency.
We are TFR. TFR.
Good morning. Here. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up!
What is dark matter?
Okay, we don't know.
That's great. That's why it's called dark.
It's exactly.
Everyone knows all reputable information comes from random people on the internet. Tell me things, internet. The earth is flat. It's like school in your hand.
Okay, dark matter is something we do not know what it is. We believe the dark matter is there, but we have never detected it. Well, what I'm afraid of course, is that there is no dark matter out there.
There was one?
There is no dark matter out there. We need to think really hard.
Allegedly.
Hi, this is Alan. I like Ironworx because it's where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came.
I love Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zack. It's like sitting in your front room having a cosy chat with your best friends.
Hi, it's Diva here, and I just want you to know that Ironworx with Josh, Walt and Zack, it's definitely my favourite dose of reality. Come join the family and keep it flat.
Why sleep in when you could get your dose of iron in the morning? Listen to the Ironworx on TFR.
This is Enlightened Dawn. Roses are red, violets are blue. Iron Realm Media is the best on the planet. To the show, I will forever be true. You guys are truly the best, and I love you guys. I'm so thankful to have you in my life.
Do you like listening to space letters from Never a Straight Answer? Then tune in to the Ironworx with Zack, Walter, and Josh. Break clear of the fear on the Ironworx and become an Iron Scout.
And welcome back. We'll just jump right into the first half of the second half of the Ironworx on True Frequency Radio, TFRlive.com. And I do believe we are joined.
Man, I apologize around all fully, completely, and utterly as I realize now that I laid down apparently with my phone so close to empty I didn't know. And so, yeah, about 10 minutes ago, Shell nudged me, like, are you not getting up for your show? And I'm like, well, yeah. Like, well, you better do it. It's almost 5 o'clock. I'm like, oh, well, yeah. Yeah, it might be time to get up then. So my apologies, everybody. I know Zack was probably blaming himself because he kept me up playing last night. It wasn't Zack's fault. I just didn't plug in my phone or look at it to see if it needed it. Just laid down and assumed I was good to go.
I almost did the same thing. I was at 2%. I'm like, oh, shit. And I had to get back out of bed just to go into the kitchen to get my charger.
I know I've done it before, but it's been a long, long time since I've done this one. It was just a full day yesterday and never stopped and just, ran it.
Talk to you. I didn't talk to you till late last night. And you're like, I got running.
I went to play with my guitar. I decided it was beyond the schematics and beyond my knowledge. So instead of me screwing up a guitar I liked a lot, I just took it to a guy who not only would do the install, show me the rewire I needed to do, help me learn how to do it, not just pay somebody to get it done, but he showed me the things I needed. I made a little video. I may post it someday to show you guys how to do it.
Than most people think. Someone that'll actually show you how they're doing it.
Yeah, I knew. I was shocked he would do it. He was a young guy, real good guy, real good guy. James over there at C&M Music in Lafayette. Y'all check him out.
That's awesome. I like finding cool people like that are like, yeah, here, I'll show you how I do it.
All right, Alan, you waited till I got here and then you're going to go back to sleep. I'll see how it is.
He's back on. All right, I'm going to bed. Yeah, we know Alan.
We thought it was a good show this morning. We're out of here now. Walt showed up. No, brother, get you some rest. I wish I could. I did, actually, so I have nothing to complain about. All right, so what were y'all talking about? Go back, rewind.
Yep.
Yeah, I see.
That's about it.
I feel you.
I was getting ready to dive. What did we talk about before we dive into what's next? We talked about some silly shit, some really silly shit. Guns shooting, going off by themselves.
Like in movies?
That's exactly what I said.
You listening? Did you hear that? That's exactly what I said.
Well, I mean, you know.
And then in Indonesia, we learned that they're trying to pass laws to say you can't have non-marital relations. You can't even live together unless you're married.
Okay.
Be thrown in jail for this. Of course, this is going to change. This is like 3 years down the road, they're saying, and I'm sure it'll go to court and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, wild. You can't. It's illegal to be an atheist or to try to turn someone from their religion, even. Yeah, just some stuff. It, makes me appreciate living in a country where at least the laws tell me I'm free.
Right.
At least Kevin, they're not just coming out and saying, "Well, you're fucked." Sorry.
Yeah, at least here we get to pretend.
Yeah, we can pretend at least here. But no, we were looking into a story about the U.S.'s 2,000-year-old mystery mounds in Ohio. Have you ever heard of these, Walter?
Not in Ohio, no.
Saying these might be some of the largest mounds ever built on Earth that aren't like fort related or a fort.
Right.
And of course, it was constructed by a mysterious civilization that left no written records, but are so sophisticated. They're like mathematically. Here, I'll get into it a little bit. Let's see here. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. I've noticed that it looks like they're going to writers again. Or maybe just the articles I'm reading. But listen how this doesn't sound like an AI to me. Autumn leaves crackled under our shoes. Dozens of eager tourists and I followed a guide along a grassy mound. We stopped when we reached it. That just doesn't sound like AI to me. The octagon. Okay, let's get down here a little bit. All of these. Okay, now this might have been written by AI. Here you go. All these prehistoric ceremonial earthworks in Ohio were created by what is now called the Hopewell culture, a network of Native American societies that gathered from as far away as Montana and the Gulf of Mexico. Now we're in Ohio. That's pretty far away. That's like 800 miles, 900 miles from Ohio to the Gulf of Mexico. And then Montana, it's probably further. Between roughly 100 BC and 500 CE, and were connected by a series of trade routes. The earthworks in Ohio consist of shapes like circles, squares, and octagons that were often connected to each other. Archaeologists are only now beginning to understand the sophistication of these engineering marvels. Well, yeah, because before they realized how amazing they were, they decided to build a golf course over them. They say they are built with astonishing mathematical precision, as well as complex astronomical alignment. They're the largest geometrical earthworks in the world that were not built as fortifications or defensive structures. And while most people have never heard about these sites or its builders, that may be about to change. Okay. So the U.S. Department of the Interior has nominated 8 of the Hopewell's earthworks for consideration in 2023. Now these are like huge, and there's lots of them. They include the Great Circle and the Octagon in Newark, Ohio, as well as Ohio's first state park, Fort Ancient, which is not an actual fort. The other 5 are part of Hopewell Culture's National Historic Park: Mound City, Hopeton Earthworks, High Bank Works, and the Hopewell Mound Group. The Octagon and the Great Circle were once a larger single Hopewell complex spanning 4.5 square miles and connected by a series of roads lined by earthwork walls. Just think about that. 4.5 square miles. Walking through both sites today, there is an immediate shock of scale. The Great Circle, where the Museum for Hopewell Ceremonial Earthworks is found, is 1,200 feet in diameter. That's longer than it's close to being a quarter mile across. Its walls rise up to 14 feet high and are outlined on the inside by a deep ditch. That's so hard to even grasp how big that is. So the Great Circle was once connected to a square and a burial ellipse, with only part of the square still visible today. The Octagon sprawls a massive 50 acres and is attached to the 20-acre observatory circle. So the circle, that's almost a quarter mile in diameter, is only 20 acres. The Octagon is 50 acres. Wow. You could put 4 Roman Colosseums inside just the Octagon alone. Wow. One estimate is that they moved 7 million cubic feet of dirt to build this. Now, does this sound like a primitive culture with little, ability to, 14-foot walls, folks. 14-foot walls. And the shapes were so precise. They also embedded a sort of hidden geometry within these structures. So just because they left no written records, or at least records that we've been told about, we should say, they made huge things over the earth that were, mathematically and the geometrical sophistication it took to build them. There's no way it was just like, hey, Bob, add more dirt over there. Yeah, that looks a little low over there. We're just going to make that. No. You need survey tools to do this kind of stuff that they did. If you draw a square inside the octagon by drawing a line from alternate corners of the octagon, the sides of that square are equal to the diameter of the circle that it's attached to. Just the precision. To think that it was people in loincloths running around with wooden spears that did this is just ridiculous. So hopefully, we might learn something about our actual history. But I'm not going to hold my breath. What do you guys think? Is it ever going to come out that, hey, all this stuff we told you about the Indians, yeah, they did live here, but there was actually a culture that lived here before them that was all connected with the rest of the world, and it's got to come out eventually.
It's that slippery slope. I don't know.
Kind of like NASA, right? They can't admit they never went to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
Lied so much already that admitting it would be just as dangerous as not admitting it.
Yep, it's all built on this house of cards, so you can't necessarily go to the bottom and just start pulling one out, be like, oh, well, that one's not true. But the rest of it works because as soon as you pull it out, the whole fucking tower comes down.
They kind of have wedged themselves between that rock and hard place, and there's not much room for wiggle. I think this is why there is so much drama. Why, politics has turned into the WWE. Why everything is going towards this. Even NASA. I was watching this guy. He did a TED Talk on kayfabe. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes.
Josh has. Yeah. It's when you know something is fake, but you still get emotionally attached and involved with it at the same time. Like pro wrestling, right? People know it's fake, but I've watched 50-year-old men cry over he stole John Cena's wife and blah blah blah. It's like, dude, this is pro wrestling, right? You know this isn't real. They're acting, but he still had this huge emotional attachment to John Cena's character.
Did you know in the 60s it was like a thing? Oh, professional wrestling's fake. I almost believe that people thinking that professional wrestling being real, is kind of like the idea that people never believed the earth was flat. Well, they always knew it was round. They always just assumed it was real.
Yeah, whoever believed that wrestling was real?
Nobody. Not really, but they all could use this kayfabe, and they could invest emotionally in it. And I think that's the beauty of the television itself, and part of the hypnotic suggestiveness of a television is its ability for someone to invest emotionally on the images that are coming through. That's what makes watching TV and movies at home enjoyable, anywhere really. But those flickering images, more than just a talkie, but when you have pictures that move and now you're watching a movie, when your movie and your talkie get together and it's like a whole nother thing coming, you get to live vicariously through other people's lives. You get to invest emotionally. Oh, I can totally relate to this person and that person and the things they're going through. Oh yeah, they really portray these emotions well because I have those emotions too.
But yeah, the guy who wrote it was saying this is what our politics here in the United States and many places of the world have turned into. Kayfabe. Everybody knows they're all lying. Everybody knows they're not to be trusted, and what comes out of their mouth isn't what they actually mean. But when they say these things, they get emotionally invested still. And it really dawned on me, like, yeah, this has been true forever. My mom, when I was like 8 years old, George Bush Sr. got caught lying. I was like, well, who can be president now? Oh, honey, that's not how it works. They all lie. So that's kayfabe right there. They're all lying. It's just a show. But yet you play along. You vote. Get emotionally invested and attached. You hate Donald Trump. You hate him. You either love the guy or you hate him, right? That's what they say. And I'm sorry, the record number of people didn't get up and vote for Joe Biden. They voted against their villain, their kayfabe villain, the racist white rich guy that, has all these, what do they call them? The rich white guys in America. They all have a step up on everybody else. What's the word? I'm having a brain fart.
Elite?
Yeah, they get oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm forgetting this word. They get like extra amenities, just because they're white and male. They get extra. That's
privilege.
And even black people are saying this. It's funny. I watch a lot. I love Doc Rich. He's a cool guy that just covers, news that's going on from the news. And he's like, I am so happy that I'm not a straight white male living in this country right now. He's like, if you think about it, they are the most demonized people here. It's like, it's not cool to be a rich, or not even rich, just a white straight male in this country now. And that's more of that kayfabe. They've done it with everything. It's really genius the way that they're manipulating the public's minds. And this isn't new. This has been going on for almost 100 years now, at least. I know. Germany was doing this in the late 20s, early 30s, before Hitler got into power. They were trying to push this whole men and women are the same, transgender, blah, blah, blah. They were pushing the same type of ideologies we're seeing pushed on our society here in the U.S. today. And this brought about the rise because Hitler had already won one and then he lost. But then he came back with a vengeance, putting all this stuff down. And I see them doing the same exact thing with Donald Trump. I see the same blueprint being played right now. In my opinion, they're going to have Donald Trump as our next president, and things are going to change dramatically after that. Dramatically. And then 10 years or so down the road, we're going to go and, if they get their way, there will be the World War III versus the Christians and the Muslims. I don't see how they're going to do that just quite yet. I haven't seen that writing on the wall. But yeah, I think it's all been planned. And they have, their story that they want to unfold. Yeah, we were talking on Globebusters. Are they ever going to try to say that they went to the moon again? In my opinion, no. They are never going to show people walking on the moon ever again. What was it, 2001? George Bush said, by 2012, we're going to have a base on the moon and blah, 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 blah. Then what happened? We had our global act of terrorism. I call it global because that's as nonsensical as calling it an act of terrorism. I mean, it was terrorism, but when you're doing it to your own people, you're kind of painting the story different than what it actually is. But yeah, and then NASA was put on a back burner and kicked down the road. Here we are over a decade later, still never even been to the moon, let alone had a base on the moon. But yeah, I don't see us ever pretending like we went to the moon again. I don't think they'll do it. What do you think? You think they'll ever show us people walking on the moon again?
Yep. I do.
I think they're scared.
What would it do, though? I mean, the idea that they would show that sort of nonsense that would be obviously faked and probably not faked well. And probably purposefully not faked well. So that some people could see the obvious fakery and others would not. Because of the kayfabe. But because of the kayfabe, that's why I think that they will do it.
Try it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make a point there.
It's
yeah.
just another wedge. Just another wedge that they can drive. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, how many people would actually really watch it and try to think about it logically or critically and not watch it like it's, Marvel movie?
A small percentage. and that percentage is getting larger, but there was still a pretty a sizable amount of people that would watch it and just accept it like they do everything else on television. And just, well, there it is on TV. I think that's why learning to objectively watch a movie and appreciate things like the scene transitions and look for the cut shots and realize that you're watching it through a camera, not your eyes. When you start to see J cuts and L cuts and just the way they do these crazy transitions and move from one thing to the other so many times that you don't even often notice it. And that's why they like those quick transitions, because your brain's already picking up on other stuff like commercials. Speaking of which, you've got one more segment of the Ironworks right after this. Who knows what the hell we'll get into. We do have some more space lettuce in the global day of darkness. And I say global because it's just as much nonsense as a day of darkness. Instant.
There are folks that you emulate. There are folks that you idolize. There are folks that you want to be. And you ask yourself constantly, how did they get there? Why are they there? Oh, they got so famous? And you see haters, and you're sometimes a hater, and you marvel at them. But recognize, who was John Legend before John Legend? John Legend. Who was Barack before 2009? Barack, right? He was still the same person, so to speak. So understand those people that you see that are up there just made a shift in their way of thinking about themselves that elevated them to the position that you see them in. Instead of idolizing or hating on someone or wondering how did they get there, start looking at yourself and say, I can be there. I'm here, but what do I have to change to be there? So who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? What thread was sewn to design the fabric that is you?
It's amazing how people have been raving about iAlife all over Facebook. They've been posting their testimonials just because they want to get the word out because it's worked so well for them. If you're not familiar with iAlife, it's a 99% pure CBD oil. But the secret is the synergy between the hemp and the ayahuasca vine, the non-psychoactive component of the ayahuasca tea. We recently received an email from a wife whose husband has Parkinson's. For the first time, he's been able to sleep through the entire night. Another customer reported that they're no longer using NSAIDs because their tennis elbow has been relieved with iAlife. The reports have been phenomenal and much more than we ever expected. Everyone should have access to this. That's why if you head on over to ialife.com right now and use coupon code TFR, we'll give you $5 towards your order. And we'll even ship it worldwide. That's ialife.com, AYAlife.com.
Travis Cook, America's Evil Genius, here to invite you to join us every Tuesday afternoon here on Truth Frequency Radio. No, on our show, you will not see a bunch of three-piece suits or a cocktail party, and you certainly won't see a bunch of inside the Beltway banter. But you will see eye-gouging, crotch-kicking, no-holds-barred political discussion, the likes of which you won't see anywhere else in media. America's Evil Genius. We come to you every Tuesday from the outskirts of war-torn St. Louis, Missouri, where there's always a good race rider sex scandal just around the corner. Join us every Tuesday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, and noon on the left coast right here on TFRlive.com. America's Evil Genius, Travis Cook, on TruthFrequencyRadio.com.
Real people, real radio. Wherever you are, make it TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you. If fool me, we can't get fooled again."
Once you thought that anyone else was, you would never be able to get out of the end of the weather.
I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, bitch. Allegedly.
And welcome back. Fourth and final segment of the Ironworks, kicking off right now.
Allegedly. So what do we got as far as space letter?
The day of instant darkness, global instant darkness, some shit, some nonsense. I got it around here somewhere. There we go. A moment of global darkness.
Can't be literally.
Well, it's kind of clickbaity. The way it's titled, global darkness, implies that the darkness, the coverage of the darkness is based on some sort of physicality. But really all they're talking about is population. So at some point today, somehow they've calculated that a majority of Earth's populace will be in the nighttime.
So this is like when they said over 90% of the Earth will be in daylight. And it's like, well, 90% of humans.
Yes. It's exactly like that, but opposite.
They're loving this, aren't they?
They must.
We've been at this 8 years. I've never heard them talk about the people of Earth all experiencing darkness at the same time or light at the same time. It's weird, isn't it?
Uh-huh. It really is.
So when is this taking place?
Oh, that's today.
Oh.
9% worldwide will simultaneously experience nighttime. To go, our number crunchers fact-checked and partially confirmed an internet claim that 99% of the world's population gets sunlight at 11:15 UTC on July 8th. This left us wondering, well, what about the opposite situation? At what precise instant do most experience nighttime? And that's what they came up with.
You would think December 22nd might be the...
What? It would seem to make a little more sense at the very least.
Yeah.
But according to their calculations, the moment of maximum darkness happens at 1956 UTC on Tuesday, December 6th, 2022. And at that instant, the sky will be completely dark for about 85.92% of the world's population. At that moment, night reigns across three most populous continents: Asia, Africa, and Europe, with very minor exceptions.
Well, the west coast of the U.S. will still have sunlight, right?
I would think, yeah, probably quite a bit. Because I think this here is the actual picture. You can't see it because I'm not screen sharing it. But I'm guessing that, almost none of America, whether north or south, will be included into that nighttime. Which means, interesting.
85% of the population lives not in the Americas?
Yes. That North America and South America and Central America's total and Antarctica apparently, and parts of Australia, Their total population combined is less than 15%.
It's hard to believe.
Hard to believe. Now just think about that when you have some bitchy little child trying to guilt you for driving a gasoline-powered vehicle. Because that's not like you're China.
How dare you?
Yeah, they did great with all those bikes. They have more bikes than people now in bike graveyards.
And China still contributes more pollution than the other rest of Europe and Asia and everybody else. Like the top 5 polluting countries, China has more cumulative pollution than the other 3 combined below it.
Wow.
I mean, they have zero oversight. They just pump whatever the fuck they want out into the atmosphere. All their factories, all their lead-painted little toys that they like to send to the kids here in the U.S., all those factories, they just pollute. No regulation. And again, you get little Greta coming over trying to make us feel bad, want to do away with beef because cow farts are fucking up the environment.
That's insanity, isn't it?
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
You have stolen my dreams and my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's your parents, Greta. Talk to them. Nobody asked you to come and tell us how bad we all are. And the funniest part is how many times she's been caught with plastic bottles and paper cups and all this disposable crap that she's utterly against and flying on, private airlines and stuff like that. It's like, you've probably used more CO2 flying around from this convention to that one to this forum or whatever than most people create in their whole lives.
How dare you?
How dare you, Greta? Why weren't you walking? Why weren't you, and I'm not even going to say electric vehicle. Again, for people that are pushing electric vehicles, they burn more fossil fuels than gas. All right? Do you think the electricity is just magically made? Do you think it's all made by solar power? No. What is it? 80 to 90% in this country is gas and coal. Most of it's coal.
But what you don't understand, Zach, are the sheer amount of carbon credits that you get.
That people, I thought you were going somewhere else.
that you get to accrue when you are telling the world that the polar ice caps are going to melt, all the polar bears are going to die because they're starving to death, the sea levels are going to rise, and we're all going to die. Now, if you can convince people that's true and get them to take action, well, then you actually get a percentage of their carbon credits, and it just rolls right up into your account, you see. So when you have all these carbon credits accrued and built up because you're skimming a little bit off the top from everybody, then you get to fly around in these private jets because you have all the carbon credits you want to spend. You're a carbon credit billionaire, you see. Carbon credits.
All right, so I'm going to derail things a bit.
You derail them.
All right, since I haven't been here, so I think it's my right? Anyway, all right. I've been inspired. My buddy Zack here, our good buddy James over from Grounded Extracts. I've taken some inspiration, and as we were sitting here, my alarm went off. Apparently not my alarm, the machine went off or whatever, and I misjudged time. And anyway, so long story short, my first batch of tincture has now become ready. My question is there another process after this that takes some of the alcohol burn and taste and et cetera from these tinctures? I know there is. I've read some things when I was looking into doing this, but I don't know the details. Is it distillation? Is it refiltering? Is that how they do the vodka to get it taste clearer, to get all the goo out of it? Is it running it through a certain kind of filter? I know I've heard y'all say different things.
I'm not sure
You
about
can-
tinctures, but I know for vodka specifically, you can buy the cheapest ass vodka you want and run it 3 or 4 times through a Brita water filter, and that shit
Right,
comes
that's
out
what
like
it
it's
was.
a
Okay.
top shelf, top of the line, smooth ass.
But would that take out what I'm trying to get out of this, the cannabis goodies,
That's a good question.
That's what I'm worried about. So then now, Zach, we go into the alchemy level of stuff. What would do it to get this more manageable and not so tongue burning?
Yeah, the alcohol will evaporate, but I don't think it's the alcohol that's burning your tongue. That's most likely the oil.
Really?
Yeah, the THC oil does have kind of like a. You've never had that when you take like RSO?
Yeah, you're right. Well, no, actually, it's been a while. I've gotten to the point where I just capsuled it up and go to town with it. I don't really eat it anymore because of probably that reason right there, the burn, the spiciness. See, I just assumed it was the alcohol that I don't drink ever anymore that was burning my mouth. Because, of course, once I had it poured off a while ago, I had to give it a little drop or two on the tongue. It's unexpectedly sweet. I was expecting a real burning alcohol, like I'm drinking gasoline type thing, but there was a real sweetness to it, which shocked me.
Yeah, it's not too bad. When I was doing my tinctures, I never had any type of flavor like that. They were all whatever herb I had in there.
Right. Well, that must be what it is. It must be the flavor of the herb coming through that gives it that sweetness.
Yeah. But yeah, you could, like Big Pine Sailing says, he says you can just leave it open and the alcohol will actually evaporate out of the oil.
Okay, I got you. Yeah, I guess that makes absolutely perfect sense. Right. I bet that's part of it. I'm not even thinking through because I've got it covered in there to keep the cat hair out of it. And
yeah.
So maybe I should go and cover it.
When you do let it evaporate, keep an eye on it because it will evaporate out until there is only the oil left. Then it'll be like a gooey, tarry. It won't be like drinkable.
Right. Huh. Now I wonder if that was I wonder if that would be better to use because my next step now is to play with these ideas and start, getting ready for Christmas. Because usually, as I've said before, I'll save up my little sucker leaves and all that over in a jar to the left, and that's Christmas candy every year I make. So now this year I'm taking it up a level, and I bought me a little gummy mix, and just gonna see how that works.
Before you made it into a tincture?
I didn't hear you, sir.
You activated it before you?
Oh yeah, I decarbed it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's important.
Absolutely. What is up, Austin Legend entering the chat?
Great Melodome yesterday. Really good show.
Yeah, I caught a piece of it right before I left yesterday.
How are the plants doing, Josh?
Josh don't handle plants right now. Josh is plantless.
I was wondering, you haven't spoken about them.
Well, with winter coming on, the temperatures tend to fluctuate considerably. If I don't have a heater down there running,
that'd be tricky.
Every time the lights go off, because usually the drivers of the LED are enough to heat my little area enough that once you start combining a little bit of humidity, that it doesn't really jack up the temperature too much. But once all those go off in the basement in the winter in Missouri, it gets a little chilly, and that's some pretty severe fluctuations in temperature. So then I got to buy a little ceramic heater or something then to keep it warm when the lights are off, or to at least try to regulate it somehow. Then it turns into a whole thing. And at least right now, we're starting to get back ahead a little bit financially because everything has been such a struggle over the last I don't know, 18 months or so, when prices really started to rise, that we're finally starting to get our feet back under us, and I don't want to go
Yeah, I hear you.
throwing that power bill completely out of whack. But it's going to be inevitable. I do want to get that little cloner out and make sure that's running, because if I can get the cloner going and figure out how to get a shorter cycle and not stress my plants so much that I'm fucking them up, then I think I'll be able to start turning stuff over a little bit better than I have been. Right now, it really is such an emotional investment that it's like probably a lot like I would think fostering a child would be. You can't just bounce with one child to the next child to the next child. You got to have time to sort of process and get yourself to a point where you can make that emotional investment into another experience. And that's sort of the way I am with my plants. And I wish I could see chat, but my chat is just circling and it's not showing me anything new, but I can see on screen that it does keep popping up somehow.
Yeah, they're very active. I see you guys. Hello. I did, as I came in the show, notice that Liz had dropped us a pair there for the morning. So thank you for that super chat, Liz. Excuse me. And thanks to all you guys who support us in all the various ways. Come and hang out even when I'm sleeping in like a big dummy, and come and hang out on our Friday shows. And we really don't have a plan, but you guys are there anyway. And we just appreciate the hell out of it. So thank you guys so much. It doesn't have to be a super chat. It's just being here and being the family you guys are. That's a huge reason to get up and not sleep in, huh? Well, I promise Friday morning Thursday night when I go to bed, it'll either be plugged in or I'll double check the charge.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Rockfin is down. No, maybe not.
I didn't even open Rockfin. Coming in a run like a nut job. I didn't even check it. So my apologies to the Rockfin family. I feel like we neglect you too terribly bad this time of the morning, trying to wake our brain up and push all the right buttons.
I was trying to include Rockfin this morning. I did go over there and check, and we did have a little discussion about Mike Tyson versus Chuck Liddell.
Ah, nice.
Who would win?
Actually, I think I saw that was on the. I think that was on the phone. I mean, on the screen when I popped on the call. Actually, I saw you were talking about that fight, or somebody in chat was, or something. What were you asking me, Zach? I apologize. Who would win?
Chuck Liddell.
I mean, come on, dude. Iron Mike.
And any word did specify that it was going to be in a street fight.
Oh, well, now you're getting the whole different thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know if it's a street fight. He might have people, he might attack. He has like the swarm over him all the time, right? The little pigeon swarm, and he just they attack.
Got 100 pigeons.
I know, it's nuts.
That is so cool, man. Never had a bird friend. I would love to get to know a bird.
There's actually a little place around the corner here from the house that used to be 100 years ago a bird farm. I mean, it was quite elaborate. People from like way out, like states away. Like I think they even have sold things overseas, like birds, specialty birds you can't get other places. They would collect them there, keep them in this big aviary area. And for a little while, Jamie, my stepson, he worked there. And yeah, going over there and looking at that place, it was nuts. That's right here in this little small rinky-dink town. That big, huge, exotic bird filled.
That's crazy.
Sanctuary.
I've heard they're not even that lucrative as far as businesses go. For like every 100 birds you plant, only one produces another bird.
Another bird, yeah.
It's really hard to be a bird farmer.
GMO, you know how they do it. Two generations out, no more eggs. But yeah, that's crazy. I just never have really understood the idea of keeping a bird as a pet.
So Dixie had a bird once upon a time, and they're decent pets, but I think they're a lot like rabbits that, it takes a while, but if you can actually get to where that bird accepts you, then it's like the sweetest pet ever. It like preens you, and it's like a regular freaking pet. Otherwise, it's just kind of
And
like
I guess
a bird
that
in my house.
that would be something. Again, I like seeing you guys with the bunnies, seeing that type of bird ownership. That would probably change my mind. But I grew up with an aunt and uncle that had a bird. It stayed in the other room. And you didn't really go in that room, let alone go with that cage. And, oh, heaven forbid you lifted up that cloth, you know. And it's like, so why is it here? I mean, you guys, I never see y'all interact with it ever, like ever. And all I get told is I can't interact with it, and I'm not supposed to go in the room, or I'm not supposed to touch the cage. And I want to see the bird. I'm a kid, so what the fuck? It's a bird in a cage. I want to check it out, but I can't because the bird is in this psychotic state all the time. And it's like, as I grew older and thought back on that and saw other family members get birds, and pretty much that was the same treatment they got, or other friends' parents have birds, and that was the same treatment. It was like, so you are such a powerful being on the plane here that you can trap an animal that's one of the freest animals that exists. You've trapped it into this little cage. You don't talk to it. You just feed it and let it shit and clean its shit reluctantly and fuss anybody that wants to interact with it. And so you've turned this animal's life into a complete, utter hell for your amusement, for you to look over at it every now and again and go, oh, yeah, I got to go change the shit in that bird cage. There's no love. There's no interaction. Again, what most people treat rabbits like, you guys changed my whole ideal of that thing. So maybe the bird ownership is a completely different thing. I don't understand, because all I've seen is horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you, and I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt just because of my ignorance with rabbits, and the part of the way that the rabbits have sort of changed me, the way I look at things. I don't understand bird ownership either. I don't get it. It's like you've found which very specific feathers that you can cut out to keep the bird a slave.
Right. Fucking dude. I forgot about that part of it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Lord.
Still looks like a bird. It just can't go anywhere.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
But they say, I mean, I trust Dixie when she says birds are.
Wait. Also in chat, birds aren't real. Y'all are baby troopers.
Right.
Oh, that's epic. I love you, brother.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Shout
good.
out.
Good shit.
Yeah,
we're done almost, aren't we?
Yeah, we gotta be. God, I hope so.
Well, wait.
I don't even know where we are.
I was just playing catch up in chat. I saw something. Apparently, Liz giving us the download. Mark Devlin still doing the meditations, just haven't been keeping up with them as she should, nor have we. Maybe we should reach out to Mark, see if he wants to come hang out with us. It's been fucking forever ago.
You know, I'd be really interested in maybe reaching out to anybody.
There you go.
Producing a show for a Friday night sounds like a great idea.
That sounds like a plan.
No,
Meanwhile, I'm the says the bird is the bird. The bird is the word.
Who's that? The animals?
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know. Oh wow, we actually have a person hanging out with us over in the. Oh no, that's an old message. Never mind.
Oh no, that was 12 hours ago.
Never mind. That's an old message. It just wasn't there, I guess, when I popped in.
I did not log into that one.
Yeah, it happens. Well, I'll be here Friday morning bright and early. I might show up at 5. I mean, at 4. I might show up at 4:30. No, I'm kidding. I'll be here early. I won't oversleep. And then we'll figure out between now and then, like tomorrow, Wednesday, we'll actually have a meeting and do stuff.
Let's do that. Let's maybe not jump right on. I'm the one who does it, basically. I'm the one who calls you guys.
I wasn't going to say who started that trend. I wasn't even going to point any fingers.
Nope. I accept full responsibility for that.
It's fun, though.
It is fun. And we appreciate the hell out of all the fun times you guys let us have playing, hanging out with us. Nemo, I see you there in chat. If you haven't seen the new stuff going on with Fortnite, it's pretty nuts. I mean, I've never played a game that gave me a completely new game every few months. This is pretty cool.
Talk about flat Earth.
Oh my God. Well, talk about the generic media-driven idea of flat Earth.
Water is falling off into space.
It's literally running off the sides of the flat little disc, kind of floating there in the void, in the ether. I don't know where they are right now.
Yeah, the dome is gone. The dome exploded. Everything got pulled back together by some weird orb in the center, and the land are all different now. And
yeah, all the pieces are in different places, and yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Well, guys, love you all. Thank you. Sorry I was late.
It was the 0 point energy creating the gravity, bringing everything else back together. Or something.
Exactly.
Something. Anyway, love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us this morning. Do tune in on Friday. We'll be right back here. TruthFrequencyRadio.com, TFRLive.com for another exciting episode of the Ironworks. In the meantime, be good, be well. We love you. Bye-bye.